What's up, everybody? Today we're taking a look at the HEADRUSH Looperboard and the top 7 features of this board. My name is Ryan, and this is Tides on Earth. So I've only had the Looperboard for a few days now, and I'm coming from a Boss RC300. I've been looping for a while. Most of my stuff is more, I use my Looperboard to accompany the songwriting process and to help me to share a fuller sound in a live experience. I'm not someone that's doing 15 different layers on a track. I throw a couple of layers on just to fill the song out a little bit, but that's what I'm using it for. So I appreciate the 3 tracks on the RC300 because I do like to be able to manipulate what I can. And when I saw the Looperboard from HEADRUSH, manipulation is probably one of its greatest strengths. So let's start with number 1, and that is the effects. Again, coming from the RC300, I'm going to be doing some comparing here. I feel like with the Looperboard, that's the audience that we're comparing to. That's the target audience. That's who they are kind of marketing it to. HEADRUSH is seeing that, hey, Boss, while they do it very well, they've got a product that is quite old now, and maybe there's an opportunity with some technological advancements that may open up some additional features for the Boss RC300 user. And that's exactly what's happened with me. So effects. The effects on the HEADRUSH Looperboard are so much more usable, it's unbelievable. When I was first starting to use the Looperboard, I had to stop and think, oh my gosh, this is actually a looper as well, because when I'm comparing the RC300, I don't even look at it as offering me effects. I look at it as a straight looper. So the fact that this offers you effects and usable effects is a huge, huge benefit. I've not gotten through all of them yet. I am going to be posting some other videos to my channel. I'd love to post a video going through a bunch of the effects, because if you're like me, I just wanted to know, I wanted to hear what they sounded like. I think in the FAQ on the HEADRUSH website, you can actually see what the effects are. But that was a big thing for me. If I'm going to be spending this much money on a Looperboard, then I need to know that it's worth it and that it can replace a bunch of my current gear. You can see here that this board that I'm currently using, it's about 50 pounds when all the cables are inside. It's a great rig, super functional for me, but if the opportunity exists to reduce the amount of equipment I'm bringing to gigs, as a live gigging musician, that's what I want. I want to be able to do more with less, and that's what this board does. The one negative to the effects, I guess, is there's a number of toe taps to get to the effects that you're looking for. Whereas on my RC300 board, if I need reverb, it's right there. It's one click to get to it. And if I need my soul food, my overdrive, my clean boost, it's right there. One tap and it's right there. So you can store 4 effects racks in the Looperboard. And in the next couple weeks, I will definitely be getting a video up, both using an acoustic guitar, using an electric guitar, to give you an idea of what those sound like. Because I know the average consumer wants to know those things. Maybe you're willing to make that upgrade. It's time to make a change. Your 300's worked out very well for you, but it's time for the upgrade. And you want to know if it's worth it. And that's what these videos are going to try to do. They're going to try to tell you, is it worth it for you? The effects, to me, make it worth it. I think that that is a huge pro to this board. Number 2, the drum loops. The drum loops in this board are much, much more usable than the RC300. Now, it's a newer product too, so I keep saying, this is better, but they are. The sound quality is better. Here's my loops. I can scroll through. There's obviously tons and tons here that I can look through. Lots and lots of choices. I should say, on the Boss RC300, I was using a couple of the loops, or a couple of the drum loops. They weren't outstanding, but for a couple of my songs, the tone and the sound of them really suited the song. So I did find use in a couple of them. but I think we had 9. Actually, what did we have? Maybe 15 or 20 drum loops on the RC300. So not as many as you'd hope for. And with 300 on the HEADRUSH Looperboard, huge, huge improvement. They sound great, there's different genres, and very, very usable. The other thing with the Boss RC300 is when I was using them, you can still upload your loops. Sometimes I would make my drum loop in, say, Logic, and then upload it to my RC300. Obviously, the same thing is possible here. Number 3, the routing. The routing on this board is, to me, it's a pro and a con, and it's only a con until you sort out how your setup is going to work. When you're first looking at this board, the power of being able to send signals to various places is a huge, huge advantage to this board. People are going to value the ability to send something just to your headphones. Your click track, for example. I've got a couple songs. I've been covering Band of Horses, The Funeral, and the beginning of the song has that little electric guitar melody, little riff happening, and during that part, when I'm looping it, I want to make sure that I'm in time. It's so important to be on the beat, and I would always bring in on the RC300 this little subtle hi-hat just so that I could hear something in the background when I was laying that part down. And on the Looperboard, I can literally run the click track through my headphones. Huge, huge difference. And that performance element, when the audience isn't hearing that tempo, is that much more impressive. Now, I've got to get used to throwing a pair of headphones on, but to me that's worth the extra gear to carry with you. A pair of headphones aren't really a big deal. The other piece to the routing that's a huge advantage on my RC300, as you'll see here, I've got this Hotshot ABO, and it is basically a signal transfer. It splits your XLR that goes in so that I can run my mic signal into my looper or straight to my mixer. Because on the RC300, if I'm recording straight in, basically anytime I'm recording my guitar, if the mic is plugged into the looper, the mic signal is being picked up as well, unless you have an on-off switch on your mic. But again, that's just another step, and for me, most of my songs, I'm not really looping vocals as well. I'm going to get more into it, but I realized with the HEADRUSH Looperboard, if I run input 1 directly, say I run my microphone into input 1, I can choose to route the signal of that through an output or through a specific track. So, for example, I can run my microphone through input 1, I can run it through 2 of the outputs, for example. In this case, I've only got one router. I'm just going mic in, input 1, and out, output 1. But I can control which tracks the microphone signal goes through. And that's specifically for looping. So in this case, I've got channel, or track as they call it, track 4 set up with my microphone through output 1. Now what this means is that only when I'm using track 4 will my microphone record. This essentially avoids my Hotshot ABO altogether. I don't need that pedal anymore because with 4 tracks for looping, I can set aside, I'm used to 3, so I've already got a bonus track. What this means is if I'm ever recording vocals to loop, I'm going to use track 4. And the routing capabilities are just so powerful on this board. I haven't even gone through all the songs or all the ways that I can use this board, but the potential is definitely there. Number 4, secondary functionality. This board offers a ton of features that are super musical and super useful. When I hit the function key and I switch over to these 8 features, a huge huge advantage to this board lays in these features. I find when I'm making a loop, especially when it gets to be, 5, 6, 7 layers, I've built up this song subtly. Each layer keeps adding on, adding on, adding on. So the listener, their experience keeps getting built up, built up, built up. And on the RC300, I have the opportunity to undo my last loop. And when I say my last loop on the RC300, what that means is taking out the track from the time that I hit record, whether that was one time through the loop, whether it was 4 bars, 8 bars, 2 bars, if that's what I did, or for example, if it was 2 bars and I hit record and I let it run through 4 times, then 8 bars would be undone if I did undo on the Boss RC300. So I've built up all these layers. Now on this board, I have all these options when I'm taking out that loop or when I'm ending the song. I can fade out an individual track. The fade is super musical, very, very usable. The fact that you can fade individual tracks or fade the whole song is perfect. This is a great feature. A lot of times I'm on my board or on my mixer, manually turning the dial, manually fading out my song, and this is a huge, huge difference to not need to go to my mixer to do that. It's a thoughtless process now. You hit the pedal and you know that it fades the way that a fade should work. Really great, really great. Reverse, again, this feature, we do have it on other boards. This is not a new feature, not that fade is either, but to be in a looper, the reverse feature, super usable as well. I've got my board here too, so I keep looking down to see which one I'm talking about. Speed, again, to be able to slow it down for a big finish. Peel is also a very, very useful feature as I can take away a layer. Now I mentioned before with the RC300, when I'm taking away those layers, or when I undo on the RC300, it takes away since the last time I hit record or overdub. So on this board, when you hit record, as I mentioned before, it goes through, say it was a 2-bar loop, and you hit record, and you let it run through 4 times, say at 8 bars of content. The RC300 would view that as one part or one take, one layer, for example. The HEADRUSH Looperboard views that as 4 layers, meaning you've gone through 2 bars, the 2-bar loop, 4 times. So it views that as 4 layers. So it's a different way to think about it. And that's one of those things that's going to be an adjustment for anyone that's switching from the RC300 to the HEADRUSH Looperboard. So when I go to peel, I can peel a layer off, but it's not from the time that I hit record, it's each take, and I can peel a layer off each time. So it's a different way to think about it, but still super useful. Transpose, I can manipulate the music up or down any amount, a third, a fifth, I can change it up. And I can also scroll up to that feature, and then I can cue that to come in when I want it to. So all of these ways that we can manipulate what we've already recorded make this a better product for looping, because you can manipulate what you've recorded and it gives you more customization once it's up. Once you've recorded it on the RC300, there's not a lot of things we can do with it once it's recorded. But on this board, the sky's the limit, basically. Number 5, an audio interface. So this also operates as an audio interface, and I also intend to shoot a video comparing my Focusrite 6i6 with the HEADRUSH Looperboard's audio interface component to see what the sound quality is like. From what I believe here, I think the sound quality is totally usable and should suffice for the average musician's needs of laying down a track, trying to get something recorded. I don't know if you'd record an album on it. I know one of the channels challenged musicians to record an album on it, and I'm about to record some songs, so I would be happy to try to record a couple songs on it and see what the experience is like. I can't really speak to it fully right now because, as I say, this is night number 1, but at the same time, the fact that it is a feature is a bonus. So originally I was going to make this a top 5 features, and then I started thinking about it and I had 2 more to add. So the first one is, number 6, is the fact that all of this fits in such a small package. When you look here at my RC300, the fact is that almost everything on this board can be achieved through the HEADRUSH Looperboard. And if you look at this comparison here of the 2 setups, it's obviously a huge difference in size. There are extra foot taps to do to achieve some of the effects or to do some of the things that this is doing, but nevertheless, as someone that's gigging, 2 to 4 times a month right now, this is obviously easier to carry. As someone who's been gigging more and more, I'm not doing it 4 nights a week, but all the more reason for that musician to appreciate the size and weight of this rig. I think it's like 12 pounds, 13 pounds, compared to 50 is a huge difference. So yes, size is a huge advantage to this board. Number 7, this board allows for workarounds. And when I first got this board and I watched the videos and I commented on every single video, I'm sorry for that, by the way, but I just had so many questions. This looked like it could do a lot of the things that my board was already doing, and I wanted to know if it could replace it. This seemed like, all the things that I'm talking about right now were the things that I was hoping it was going to be. And it turns out it is all of those things. One of the things that I was trying to figure out was, could I route the signal and achieve recording vocals without needing this Hotshot ABO, my switchover pedal. And it was just today, I was at work and I pulled out the board for a few minutes just to figure out this routing thing. And a lot of the challenges that we face with this board can be achieved through working around some things. I am going to be posting a video as well, a few suggestions for updates in the next firmware. There are a few things that I think could really help this board and the user experience to be much, much improved. You'll have to stay tuned for the next video. And as well, if you have any questions about the board, as I say, the videos that I'm planning to make right now are, I want to do an effects video. I think that's hugely important for people to be able to see what's possible with it. I want to do a comparison of the Focusrite, my Focusrite audio interface, comparing it to this as an audio interface, and the pros and cons of it. I am going to be doing a video on the improvements that can be made, and leave a comment if you've got a question. I'd be happy to try to answer it. Give a like, give a subscribe. You guys know the drill. My name is Ryan, and this is Tides on Earth. We'll see you in the next one.